Israel's largest civil rights organization for Palestinian Israelis has petitioned the Supreme Court to strike down an education law. The legislation bars Palestinian Israeli citizens who graduate from Palestinian universities in the occupied West Bank from teaching in Israeli schools. The group argues the law is racist and unconstitutional. Nour Odeh has more on the ways that Israel has discriminated against Palestinian Israeli citizens over the decades.
Israel defines itself as a Jewish state, but 20% of the citizens are actually Palestinian. These are the descendants of Palestinians who were there before Israel was created in 1948, known to Palestinians as the Nakba or catastrophe. Most Palestinians were dispossessed. These communities stayed. Israel imposed military rule over them for about 20 years and then imposed a system of institutional discrimination legislated by Israel's parliament, or the Knesset. Until now, there are about 100 separate laws targeting fundamental rights of Palestinian Israelis. They span so many rights and subjects like freedom of assembly, citizenship, land ownership and planning, and many others, even culture. And these have practical implications individually and collectively for Palestinian Israelis. Take, for example, Al-Araqib. This is a Bedouin community in the Negev. Israel refuses to recognize it. It has demolished it over 200 times since 2010. There's the issue of providing protection for citizens. There are 71 Palestinian Israeli communities or localities in Israel. Of them, only 11 have public shelter, a fact that has proven fatal for many in the community over the years and over Israel's many wars. Now, there's a common thread between Israel's conduct in the occupied Palestinian territory and its discrimination against its own citizens inside Israel. And that is why experts on the subject have concluded that Israel is guilty of the crime of apartheid.
Joining us from Haifa is Salam Irsheid. She's a lawyer at Adalah Legal Center. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on Al Jazeera. Our correspondent Nour Odeh there was explaining some of the ways that Palestinian Israelis are discriminated against. In terms of this education law, what does it prevent Palestinian Israeli teachers from doing?
Hello, good evening. To explain this law that passed just last month in the Israeli Knesset, bars graduates from Palestinian universities, both public and private universities, from working in the education system in Israel and in illegally annexed East Jerusalem. And this law specifically targets Palestinians in Israel and violates their constitutional right to equal employment, to access to higher education, to their academic freedom to choose their institutions, the higher education institutions where they wish to study at, specifically when we're talking about universities where they can study in their mother tongue. And it affects as well the rights of students to equal education, and it hinders their ability to have access to equal and equal quality education.
So what is the legal strategy in terms of opposing this law and taking action to try to get it removed?
So we petitioned to the Supreme Court against this law on behalf of students that are currently enrolled in Palestinian universities, on behalf of 2 Palestinian universities in the West Bank, on behalf of Palestinian Knesset members in the Israeli Knesset, and on behalf of parents' committees in East Jerusalem. And we argued that this law is based on racist propaganda. It's regarding Palestinian education and regarding Palestinian educators. It's not based on facts or criteria that has anything to do with education itself. It's not based on professional criteria in any way. It's based on racist thoughts and assumptions regarding the alleged environment in these Palestinian universities, which it was very evident from the legislative process for this law that it is based on a thought process that there is a so-called environment of incitement to violence and to anti-Semitism. And these arguments are not related, are obviously unfounded, and also not related to any criteria that is real or has anything to do with education. And on the other hand, it seriously violates the right of Palestinian youth. We're talking about a population that has evident and serious obstacles to accessing higher education.
Let me I just want to butt in there for a second, because I'm interested in the timing of this. I mean, again, Nour Odeh was explaining the extent to which discrimination is said to have taken place against Palestinian Israelis, but also the timeline, the length of time that it is apparently been happening as well. Is it a surprise to you that it has taken this long for the Israeli government to try to take some action against Palestinian Israeli teachers, which are clearly such an intrinsic part of community life?
This is not the first attack we have seen on Palestinian education, or the first law or policy, even in the last 2 years, that is rooted in a belief that Palestinian education and Palestinian educators are a security threat that needs to be dealt with, that needs to be tailored in specific ways. It's part of a bigger pattern of discriminatory laws. In the last 2 years, more than 30 new discriminatory laws against Palestinians in Israel, in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem, that passed. Specifically, when we talk about education, we have another law that passed recently that allows the Ministry of Education to expel teachers for political views if the ministry doesn't like their political views. So it is part of a wider theme of dealing with, and that law, even though on a first look it could look like a neutral law, but it's very obvious, even from the legislative process and
Salam,
deliberations.
Irsheid, please forgive me for interrupting. I'm kind of conscious that we are running out of time, but I am very grateful to you for being with us on Al Jazeera. Thank you very much indeed.
Don't miss out on the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.